Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Lions of the Republic here on the Wrestling Republic YouTube page. We are your hosts, Ben and Suki, and I've just woken up, which is why I sound really tired because it's about 7:30 in the morning here in the United Kingdom and about 3:30 over in Japan in the afternoon. So Suki is full of energy and full of life, and it's just me like, sleep. Um, So there's not a whole bunch of New Japan news to cover. The show that was meant to be happening sort of today as we record has been cancelled due to a typhoon. This show was meant to feature the main event was it Chaos versus House of Torture in a tornado dog cage match?
Yes, it's not even the main event, it's a semi-main event. The main event's a eight-man tag team match. The event's an eight-man tag team match. It's a semi-main event.
Oh, they didn't even put House of Torture in the main event. Oh, well, I'm sure we'll live. Um,
Yeah. Uh,
but yeah, go
uh
ahead.
yes, tomorrow, which is Monday in Japan, I think it's some national holiday. I forgot this too much. So the typhoon is planned to hit Osaka tomorrow, maybe. So, national holiday out the window, I'm staying home.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I hope you and everyone who's impacted by the typhoons stay safe. We are obviously kind of in the United Kingdom. We don't get typhoons, so I can't really appreciate how, or can't really claim to understand how much of a life-altering event they can be. But
Yeah.
wishing you and everyone impacted all the best, and yeah, let me know you're all right.
Yeah, there's many downsides to a typhoon, but this time there's a massive upside. I don't have to watch this fucking dog cage bullshit. I don't have to watch this fucking dog cage bullshit.
Okay, and we are 2 minutes into the episode,
Oh no.
and Suki is already complaining about House of Torture. Don't worry, that's not what we're here to discuss. That will be a future episode that we talk about the House of Torture, and we're going to make Suki be nice about Dick Togo.
Ah, God. Yeah.
So
Yes.
I guess so obviously kind of New Japan has just been touring, they've been running their tour, but a lot of their stars and performers have been appearing outside of New Japan this week, and it's a couple of those appearances that we want to highlight. And I suppose the main kind of show we want to talk about is, and I can't quite say the title because it's a mouthful.
It's in TakaTaichiDespe Mania. Which one
Yeah,
was I
TakaTaichiDespe Mania.
saying?
Yeah.
Despe Mania. For the past month or so, I always said TakaDespe Taichi Mania. And then today I just
Mm.
rewatched it and then I was like, oh, it's TakaTaichiDespe Mania. It's so Yoyogi second gymnasium. What an amazing match, Desperado and Jun Kasai.
Yeah,
Let's talk about that first, huh?
let's talk about that. I have many thoughts about El Desperado and the Jun Kasai match.
Yes.
Obviously, for those who don't know, who haven't been following this storyline on various kind of smaller Japanese shows, this has all been about the kind of legacy of Jun Kasai, who is arguably one of, if not the greatest Japanese deathmatch wrestler of all time. Um, I'm aware that others may prefer others, but like a Bonita or someone like that. But he's got to be up there.
Yeah.
He's definitely like a legend, and he has been trying to pass his legacy on to two people. You might be familiar with Rina Yamashita, who is someone who kind of pops up in GCW and various other sort of hardcore promotions in the US every now and again. She was his sort of chosen protege. And El Desperado, yes, El Desperado, New Japan Junior, guy in a cool mask, decided, yeah, well, I fancy earning the respect of Jun Kasai. So he challenged him to a death match. and lost the first time round.
Yep.
And then,
Then, so I believe he got a fractured jaw or
hmm,
something like that. He injured his jaw. And then he came back out Ryogoku, and then yes, I believe anyone that watches a Desperado match knows his close fist punch to the jaw. The
yeah,
Locomono, Crazy Monkey in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. That's the most Spanish I know. The Locomono,
hmm,
El Desperado, named after Jun Kasai. And then I believe, and then they had this like rivalry of like, I wouldn't say rivalry, but like they had this like, I guess, how do you say it? How do you say it, Ben? I don't know how to explain it.
like they had like a relationship where Desperado was like trying to earn Kasai's respect, and
Yeah.
Kasai was like, "Well, I don't shoot, 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 go away."
What a see, you're just the junior in a cool mask. Cool And then they had so in recent time, and then they had Takataichi oh god, TakaTaichi Mania 2. Fuck. And my God, just make your name simpler. And then they had Honma, I believe it was Honma and Kasai versus Desperado and Doki, where
Mhm.
I believe Kasai won again. I believe so, right? Yeah, I believe Kasai
Oh,
won.
I can't quite remember off the top of my head,
Same.
but eventually we got to the point where recently, like last week, Kasai and Desperado met one on one again in a death match. And this time, Desperado pinned Kasai clean in the middle of the ring after hitting the numero dos and then the pinche loco slam. One, two, three. I should point out that Kasai, and he hit Kasai's own. It was Kasai's own numero dos, Kasai's own finisher, which I can't quite remember the name of, and then the pinche loco,
Uh,
um, which it's an absolutely brutal match. There are a lot of quite hardcore spots. Desperado gets slammed into broken cans, barbed wire boards,
what's
things like that.
uh
It's not.
yeah, Butcher's Blade. I think they had like a Butcher Blade board, and then
Mm,
during the start of the match, Kasai grabbed like a blade and then just started to like dig into El Desperado's skull and then just ripped his mask apart.
yeah,
Which
yeah, we got to see kind of maskless Despi for most of the match. So if you like seeing maskless Despi, which I know is actually surprisingly popular,
yeah,
do check this match out. I mean, I should point out that unlike sort of American death matches, which I'm not the biggest fan of because they do tend to just sometimes get a bit pointlessly bloody for bloody's sake. Like when you watch an Alex Colon match or a Drew Parker match or a Nick Gage match, like they're usually all like absolutely covered in blood. Um, this match wasn't actually that bloody. It was just quite brutal.
it's,
Yeah, both men were bleeding. So if you don't like blood, don't watch this match. But it's not as sort of needlessly gory as some of the other American death matches you might have seen.
yeah. One of my favorite spots was when I believe Kasai brought out a metal fork board too, and then
Mm.
Desperado. I think he slammed Desperado in it, right?
I can't quite. I haven't quite memorized every spot
Something like that.
because the main focus of this match and the reason why everyone's talking about it, kind of even outside of Japanese fan circles or fans of Japanese wrestling circles, is the post-match promo where Jun Kasai accepted El Desperado as someone who carries the legacy of the Crazy Monkey, and then he gave this really beautiful speech about how if you're a hardcore wrestler, if you're a deathmatch guy, or even if you're just a normal wrestler, and you say stuff like, I'm willing to die to win this match, well, that's just dumb. And you should choose life in every match. You should choose to, you need to keep living, wrestle to stay alive, wrestle to choose life all the time. Honestly, it's a really heartfelt promo that I'd really recommend you watch because sort of imagery of all these broken bits and pieces and barbed wire and these two men who were both wearing white, which is now stained with their blood, and then these two men sort of speaking into the microphone to each other. It felt like the end of the story or like the beginning of the next chapter, and I loved it.
Yeah, something that I should point out is that during the last match, during TakaTaichi Mania 2, when it was a Homa match, I believe it was I think before Super Juniors, and then Kasai gave a rose to El Desperado, and then Desperado promised that he will win the best of the Super Juniors, which he didn't. Sadly, Hiromu, that time bomb bullshit, won 4 times in a row, and then during last week's match, El Desperado brought that rose to to the ring, and then after the match, I believe he
Yeah,
gave
he
the
did.
rose back to Jun Kasai. That was
Mhm. Yeah,
another,
Taichi brought the rose out and then Despi gave it to him, I saw.
yeah.
Yeah, and quite interestingly, in that promo, when he was giving him the rose, he said that, look, this time I'm going to be better. I'm going to win Super Juniors. I'm going to win the championship. I'm going to I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to choose life. So I'm thinking this is like the beginnings of maybe not a redemption arc, but maybe like a redemption arc,
Yeah,
or maybe even like a slight turn to face
yeah,
for El Desperado.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
New Japan's junior division at the moment is sort of quite heavy on the heels because you've got TJP, you've got Akira, you've got Show, um you've got like you've
Doki,
got
Doki,
Dookie. Yeah,
yeah, all those guys. Yeah, all those guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you could, but the only kind of like major mega star they've got, and it's worth saying this even if you don't like how he's been booked, is Hiromu. He's like undoubtedly the kind of ace of the juniors at the moment. So it could be interesting to see if they're taking Desperado in a way that allows him to get naturally cheered because he is very popular with Japanese crowds. If you look at the kind of social media reactions, quite interestingly for American fans watching or Western fans watching, he did Japanese commentary for an episode of Dynamite because apparently New Japan were annoyed that not enough of their female fan base were watching AEW, so they put Despi on commentary because people like Despi um, in and it's perceived by New Japan management that female fans are more likely to watch a show that features Despi.
It is true. Recently on a New Japan Pro Wrestling variety show, Shinji Champion, they did a whole episode based on El Desperado, and then the guest they brought on, do you know? Okay, they brought on
Hmm.
Miki Motoi, who's like the journalist, who's like the main pro wrestling journalist in Japan. Mima Shimoda, and then they brought Starlight Kid, which is I think El Desperado's sister or some shit like that. And then they brought in female fan suggestions on on El Desperado like fan fiction and shit. And then they brought like a green screen where they got Mima, Miki, Tsumugi is the host, Kind Tsumugi. She's like a TV Asahi announcer. And so so they all made up these like situations where they had like a blow up doll and then just taped Desperado's face on it. And then the lines that they wanted Desperado to say, they got Desperado to say that. And then yeah, like for example, I think Mitani Tsumugi, she did like a skit on she did like a little scenario where Desperado and Mitani live together, and then Desperado, she comes home where Desperado's just sitting there, just making them dinner, and then she's like, "Can you say this line for us?" Like, fuck my life. I saw the fuck my life face on El Desperado, and then they even got
Well,
suggestions too. So El Desperado, a ladies' man in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Well, if it works, it works. Something else before we get back to TakaTaichiDespe Mania, the clip going around the internet at the moment of a device that it's like a vocal synthesizer where if you sing into the microphone, it makes your voice come out like an idol or a pop star. And they had like this regular person singing into it, and it made them sound really good. It made them, uh, and then they said, okay, and now for this next test, enter Toji Makabe, who of course has a very gravelly voice.
No, Homa Tomaki, actually. Homa Tomaki.
Tamaki, yeah, sorry, wrong guy.
Tomaki.
And he broke the device. It couldn't register his voice. It's quite funny. It's worth a click because like he's singing his entrance theme into it, and then it just goes.
Yeah, now Homa just see, I think last night Homa posted a pic, no, not a picture, a video of him singing karaoke, which just made my ass laugh. God.
I love Homer so much.
Yes, Homa's a main variety show guy for New Japan Pro Wrestling, as long as yeah, Wiz, Great Khan and all the other veteran guys in New Japan Pro Wrestling that goes on Japanese television a lot, which is actually pretty fun. It's actually pretty fun to see.
Yeah, no, we in the UK we don't really put wrestlers on TV. Um, I know I did see a couple of British wrestlers on TV one time. Well, actually, that's a lie. Like back when NXT UK was a thing, they used to go on kind of kids TV all the time, like CBBC. They had Pretty Deadly come on and do a skit where they were just insulting everyone, and that was quite funny because Pretty Deadly were heels and everyone hated Pretty Deadly because they. I think that was just after they'd beaten Moustache Mountain the first time, and they had done this massive skit where they were like taking the mick out of everyone watching CBBC. It was very, very entertaining and it was quite nice to see. So now we've gone massively off topic. Let's get back on topic. Anything else worth commenting on from TakaTaichiDespe Mania?
TakaTaichiDespe Mania. So I think what it's not a big thing, but a very hilarious thing in my opinion. Um, so during Taichi's 20th anniversary show, which had Taichi and Yoshitatsu with not his regular ring gear. He got the good old young lion black trunks and boots and all that. Versus
Mhm.
Taguchi and Goto. Where where the end of the match, Taguchi and Goto won, but in a very in a very weird ending in which where Goto hit his, I don't know, I think, what do you call it now? It's the GTR or something? The GTR.
Yeah, the GTR, the
Yep.
shoulder carry into the
Yep.
yeah
And
GTR.
then so they were gonna hit like a, no, it wasn't GTR, it was like a Shoto. But it was a triple Shoto where Taguchi held one leg. And surprisingly, Taichi held one leg. And then they hit the Shoto on Yoshitatsu. And then during the end of and then after the end of after the match, they just held their own hands up, and then I was like, Takatachi TakaTaichiDespe Mania. It's incredible. God, I wish they're gonna do it again sometime, but I guess yes. But yes, that's TakaTaichiDespe Mania. That's the main things that happened there. But yes.
Okay, so now it's time to move into a new segment that I'm calling Be-doo, wee-woo, wee-woo, the golden lovers alarm is ringing, because guess who reunited in Tokyo? That's right, Kota and Kenny posted on social media of the two of them together, and predictably the internet exploded.
Yes.
Kenny obviously being over here for the Sega game show where he was not promoting AEW Fight Forever because he is still under suspension for the ongoing investigation that we're not going to comment on because it's an ongoing investigation, and I do not want us to get Wrestling Republic in trouble with AEW. Um,
But
so, so Kenny was over at Sega. He was visiting the Yakuza team, the Yakuza dev team, and of course he's in Japan, and he meets up with his fellow Golden lover Kota Ibushi.
yeah, recently, I think last night actually, Sanshiro Takagi, who is the owner of DDT, he took a selfie with Michael Nakazawa and Kenny Omega, where they just reunited. It's a dramatic dream team reunited. So, uh, so Kenny Omega, he is so people, so Kenny Omega, he is not promoting AEW Fight Forever, but he is present in Tokyo Game Show. He is present in the venue, but he's just not promoting anything for Fight Forever.
Yeah, yeah.
Where Bruce, I believe, I think yesterday or on Friday, Kenny, uh, Chris Brooks and Christopher Daniels, the two best Chris's in wrestling. No, actually, no. Two of the Chris's in wrestling. They fought together. I believe, I forgot who won.
Daniels won after hitting the best moonsault ever on Chris Brooks.
Yeah. And then I believe the winner of that match went on to face Konosuke Takeshita for the main event, I believe.
But then weirdly, it was Brooks versus Takeshita.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, like this is weird because like it was definitely I'm just checking the finish now, but I think it was definitely a 3 count on the best moonsault ever. Hang on. Yeah, live research,
I
folks.
read yes.
Christopher.
Christopher.
Um,
GG. No, I think Chris Brooks versus Take was the next day, I believe.
might be the next day, but yeah, no. So yeah, it was actually a really fun match. Chris Daniels is still very, very good for someone who is, over 50 years old. He's 51, and he's still able to wrestle with the best of them. And Chris Brooks is someone who is, well, we're both massive fans of here on the show, so we are biased. But
yes.
We've got Chris Brooks coming to the United Kingdom. Woo! Coming back. But yeah, so we had some AEW and TJPW and DDT talent performing together on that show. We had people like Rio and Emi Sakura and all of those kind of AEW regulars who might going forward possibly maybe feature more as well in the world of in the crazy world of crossovers we have right now.
Yes. So speaking on Kenny Omega, the first the first sight of him was at a Helming shop, which is one of Japan's I guess biggest wrestling uh parks in the in a Tokyo, where Kenny Omega and so they also design a lot of costumes for yeah, for Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, Chris Brooks, all of that. But they are also a clothing brand, which you can see here. I'm wearing the shirt right now. See where Kenny Omega went to their
I really need to get more shirts.
where Kenny Omega went to their pop-up shop in Shinto, I believe. Somewhere in Tokyo. I forgot the name of that place. But so Kenny Omega, yeah, so they posted a video of Kenny Omega um managing a target managing a target where I'm not gonna go into that rabbit hole. I'm not gonna go into that rabbit
Yeah.
hole.
Once again, we do not want AEW to get grumpy at Wrestling Republic.
Yes. Yes, so that's how the whole Kenny Omega's in Japan. Kenny's in Kenny's gonna do all these sorts of things when he's still suspended. He's not gonna do any in-ring work. He's he's just having some fun in Tokyo Game Show. He's just there for oh, yeah, he's just there for Tokyo Game Show. Nothing else.
Hmm,
Literally nothing else. Yes, that's
yeah,
Kenny Omega right now. If
that is Kenny. Well, I hope that we hope that, I hope that anyone who got to see him, meet him at Tokyo Game Show, had a good time. And of course, if you were at Tokyo Game Show and you saw Kenny, do please leave it in the comments, because Kenny Omega is cool. And
yeah,
seeing Kenny Omega in person is even cooler. Wow, incredibly eloquent of me, I know.
yeah,
Was there anything else we wanted to touch on today? Because, like, it's been a fairly slow week for New Japan.
yeah. Actually, I had many things in my head, which they all went away after talking about Kenny Omega. But not that much, I believe. No, because TakaTaichiDespe Mania is already, we just covered that. Burning Spirit, Typhoon hit. Luckily, we don't have to see Evil again. Uh, now, now we head on to, now we are about a week to the final day in Burning Spirit in Kobe World Hall. That
Mhm.
will be yeah, so that's gonna be pretty good. And also, I believe that so the day before the event, I believe that I believe that they're holding like a contract signing for the matches and should for the public
Mm.
to view. Yeah, so they're also holding a Kazuchika Okada talk show. So they're they're having a contract signing, a talk show, and like a big signing ceremony or some shit. But it's not that yeah, very slow week in New Japan this week. Uh yeah, sure here there's a typhoon there. I think the Hiroshima show has been canceled as well with the Bappu show. I believe yes. There's not that much going on. Yes.
Yeah. Well, if anything does happen, we will, of course, keep you all updated, with live reaction or live-ish reaction,
I wish yes.
depending on how our schedules work out. Because, as you might predict, it's quite difficult getting two overlapping time zones which have an 8-hour time difference to make work. Um, so, I guess the only thing really left to say is thank you so much for watching. We really hope you enjoyed. Do watch if you're interested in it. Do watch Jun Kasai versus El Desperado from TakaTaichiDespe Mania. Um, it's an amazing show. Obviously, Meltzer star ratings are subjective, and Suki doesn't like them. But a death match getting 4.75 is fairly rare. Um, so it's got to be very, very good. It is very, very good. I enjoyed it. Suki enjoyed it. So that's, I guess, a match recommendation for you all. Oh, anyway, before we wrap that up, Impact had a ton of AEW guys, no, not AEW guys, New Japan guys on it.
Oh yeah.
So Yuya appeared.
Yeah.
Um, he beat Kenny King, which was in a very, very fun match. And Aussie Open beat Chris Bay and Ace Austin, in what was probably my favorite match of the week that was in America. Um, Very fun match. Yuya won with I can't remember. It wasn't his finisher. It was a pin because they are trying to keep Kenny King booked vaguely strongly so he can challenge for the X Division title at some point. And Aussie Open won after hitting the Coriolis. So I think that's a fairly strong confirmation that Aussie Open might be coming in as heavyweights, whereas Jay and Bay are probably juniors. Not Jay and Bay, Ace and Bay. Jay and Bay is Switchblade and Chris Bay when they team. Um, so yeah, do watch episodes of Impact. You'll probably see New Japan guys on there, so that's always fun as well.
Yes, so go yeah, by the way, also go watch yeah, go watch all the other series on the Wrestling Republic channel. Yeah, Take It to the Table, that's a good one. Soul Sessions, his goal is to reach 30 episodes and he'll be gone for the whole year. So just give many support to Soul. He's working his
Yeah,
ass, his restless.
yes. Honestly, shout out to all the other
Yeah.
podcast teams here on Wrestling Republic. We love you all. You work so hard. And that's just us, just in our corner, twittering about New Japan, like "Ooh, Japan!" And then you've got like Soul having to book people for interviews and things.
Yeah.
Um, Also, check out the new episode of the All Real Wrestling podcast
Yes.
with Eric Novak for Wrestling Republic. I'm just going to check who his guest was this time, but it was a really interesting watch.
United Empire.
Uh,
Uh,
yes,
Akira and
it was. Yes, it was. Uh, it was Nick. He had Nick Wayne. He's had Takeshita, Blake Christian, all sorts of really interesting people who have kind of vague relations to Japanese wrestling, American wrestling. He's interviewed Will Ospreay. Go watch his episode with Will Ospreay. That's just super fun.
yes.
Um, so yeah, do please check out all our friends and partners.
Yes.
We're really grateful for all your support and all your views. And don't forget to follow Wrestling Republic on YouTube, follow Wrestling Republic on Instagram, follow us on Instagram, follow Suki on Instagram. Don't follow me on Instagram because I don't do Instagram. But yeah, so all that's left to say is thank you. We'll see you. We'll see you soon, and we've got to give the people what they want.
Yes.
Ish,
Nin
ni,
san
san, da.
da.